morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing? We're great. We need coffee? No? You look a little unsure. Welcome to Coworth Community Church. We're really excited you're with us today. Why don't you stand? And we're going to open up some worship together. I know the world we're living in is a little bit of a crazy place right now. So why don't we surrender our hearts over to God this morning and sing some music and just let go. When the music fades and all is stripped away, and I simply come, longing just to bring something that's of worth that will bless your heart. Well, I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. For you search much deeper within, and through the way things appear, you're looking into my heart. And I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. And I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. King of endless worth, no one could express how much you deserve. And though I'm weak and poor, well, all I have is yours, every single breath. And I bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. For you search much deeper within, and through the way things appear, you're looking into my heart. And I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. And I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. And I'll bring you more than a song. And I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. For you search much deeper within, and through the way things appear, you're looking into my heart. And I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. And I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. when it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. And I'm coming back to heart of worship. And it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. And I'm sorry, Lord, for one thing I've made it. When it's all about you. It's all about you. When it's all about you. It's all about you. When it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. Peace, bring it all to peace. Storm surrounding me, let it break. At your name, still, call the seas to still, the rage in me to still every wave. At your name, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. And Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. And breathe, call these bones to live, and call these lungs to sing once again. I will praise Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, sing it out. Your name is a light. Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is alive, forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is alive, forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, 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 you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. To the darkness you give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord, and it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. So you give life, you give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. And great are you, Lord, and it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. And all the earth will shout your praise, and our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. The great are you, Lord, and all the earth will shout your praise, and our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. The great are you, Lord, and all the earth will shout your praise, and our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. The great are you, Lord, and it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only.
Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? Had a few days off. Got to spend some time with my granddaughter. She likes me best. This poor kid has no idea what it's in for. I come from a really weird family. And you think I'm crazy. I'm actually the mild one in my family. I have a lot of nurses in my family. And so, I want to open up and just say that they're starting to relax things as far as the pandemic goes. And it seems like we're in the middle of this. I got 2 notifications a week from the health unit, but leading up to Tuesday's announcement, of what they're letting go, they haven't let me know anything. So when we know, we'll let you know what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be working this out. But if I could say something to some of our nurses, I know we have some in the congregation. I know my mom and my sisters are probably watching this. I don't know why they watch me preach. It's got to be painful for them, but they do endure it. And I just want to say that for many healthcare workers and some of the other professions coming out of this, it's going to be kind of like coming back from war. Often when we send troops somewhere to fight and they come back, we have a lot of ideas about what they went through, but unless you're actually there, it's you're on the front lines and you're seeing this, and you're seeing people die, and you're seeing people very sick, and you're seeing the consequences, and you're dressing up in a hazmat suit every day, and you're probably going to come down off this and probably feel a little unappreciated, because people have all kinds of opinions about what we just went through, but they weren't right in the thick of it where you were. And it's kind of like you're going to be a soldier coming back from the battlefront, and you're going to have people say all kinds of things, and they're going to have no idea what you just went through. And the only advice I could give you is what they often tell soldiers coming back. Yeah, they have no idea what you went through, but enjoy the freedom and the health that they're experiencing as a gift to you, recognizing that they probably haven't got a clue what just happened. And if I could extend that to our healthcare professionals, a lot of people on the front lines, the risks and what you just went through probably is going to leave you a little shell-shocked. You need to come down from that. You're probably going to need to talk to people and get a little help and take a vacation and those kind of things. But this experience will probably affect you the rest of your life. And we can't know what you went through. All we can say is thank you. And we can say, thanks for taking care of us, and thank you for addressing in this, constrictive health care and all these rules and the guidelines and the unknown. And you guys were right on the front lines right when this was really bad. And we want to let you know that we love you, and we've prayed for you through this. But in the next few months, while everybody's trying to get back to normal, the new normal for you is going to take a little longer to land. And so just remember, we're here and we're healthy and we're oblivious to what we went through because of what you did. And you need to feel proud of that, and you need to own that. And you need to know, although maybe people won't say thank you, the fact that we're all walking around and doing well through all this is because of you. And so thank you for that. Yeah. So it seems like we're going out of the COVID into the Ukraine and into the world, falling apart. And, we go to the gas station now, and it seems like the gas costs more than your car does. And you go to the grocery store, and like I thought when we, the boys moved out and they got married, our grocery bill would go down. But, now a basket of strawberries costs $8, like just everything is just going up in price. And it seems like a crazy time in the world, doesn't it? And a lot of people have asked me, what's happening in our world? What's going on? And how does God weigh into this, right? A lot of people, we feel secure in our lives until everything kind of goes up in smoke and things are uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and there's this happening and that happening. And it can lead us to wonder, is God really God? Is he all powerful, and does he aware of what our world's going through, and is he going to do anything about it? And the words of the Lord throughout the scriptures to people that go through tumultuous times is always the same. It is to take our strength in the Lord from inside and to walk with integrity before our God. That is the greatest strength we can have, is to align ourselves to walk with the Lord and go through this. Because integrity is one of those, again, forgotten virtues. We have the idea of integrity shifts with our society according to whatever morals and whatever is most important, whatever is in the headlines and things like that. Integrity is far different than that. Integrity is really living out God's values with your actions. It really is. Another description is when your behavior matches your beliefs. I've often told you before, and I'll tell you again, is people often have three different types of values. We have our public values. This is what we want people to think we believe. Then we have our private values. This is what we think we believe. And then we have our core values, and this is the real you. Jesus Christ is the only person that ever lived that aligned all three perfectly. And the job of a Christ follower is to take the salvation and the grace that God has given us and to live that out in our world. And that means that at times you're going to be very uncomfortable, and you might make others uncomfortable by deciding to stick to your guns on something, to make a choice, to stand on truth, not to be obnoxious about it, but to be firm. Nicky Gumbel, I've told you this story many times, but it's true. Nicky Gumbel was talking about a guy who worked in these big offices, and the guy was on the floor, and the president of the business was coming through. This is not something they saw very often, and this employee's phone rang, and it was for the president, and he said, "Mr. President, this is for you. The call's for you. Tell them I'm not here." And the guy said, "Mr. President, this is for you." And so the guy, frustrated, came over, picked up the phone. "What is it?" And got a word or whatever, and hung it up and looked at the guy and said, "Tell me why I shouldn't fire you." He said, "Because if I lied for you, I could lie to you." It's a powerful statement, but it's true, right? And that's integrity. It was really funny. When I worked at Sir Sanford, they had an office pool for a lottery, and everybody chipped in a couple bucks. And I never participated in it. It's not that I'm like really down on gambling, although I think gambling's horrible. I think it's kind of like smoking. It's probably not good for you. And I kind of see it as a rip-off, the government ripping off people, who have addictions and all that kind of thing. There's definitely a moral case to be made that the gambling in our society is not helping things, right? Like, have you ever heard of a guy that's been going through real hard times, and life's not going good, and he goes, "You know what I need to start doing? I need to start gambling. This will help the situation." Yeah. You ever heard that? And the guy started gambling, and their lives all came together, and they lived happily ever after? Well, okay, that's probably why I would be down and gamble. But mostly I just didn't have the money and wasn't interested and didn't think much of it. So they used to joke with me all the time. They said, "Some Monday, we're going to win the lottery over the weekend, and you're coming in the office, and you'll be the only one here." And there'd be 35 or 40 of them would all be gone. And we used to get a good laugh out of it. But anyways, so I normally didn't gamble. And they thought I was like making some sort of moral declaration, but I wasn't. I just didn't want to participate. But anyways, the student council there was coming through, and I was in the office by myself, and they came in and they said, "Scott, do you want to participate in our 50-50 draw?" I said, "Well, what does it benefit?" And it had a real beneficial thing. Half the money was going to, help students. I said, "Sure." So I put a loonie in or a toonie in or whatever and participated in it and stuff like that. Didn't think anything of it. 2 days later, they had the draw and I won. So they came in with this big bag of, coins and put it on my desk. Well, they walked by every of the employees and they started putting up lights at the college. "Congratulations to Scott Wheeler, the winner of the 50-50 draw." And like all the other employees were going, "You lied to us. You too participate in gambling." I was like, "Oh, no." But to have integrity is when your actions line up with your beliefs. And that's our goal. So I want to draw a little bit of a picture and talk about how integrity benefits us. Here's a great scripture. I mean, this is a good one to memorize. Found in the book of Psalms, chapter 15, verses 1 and 5. And it reads this way: Lord, who may dwell in your sanctuary? He whose walk is blameless and who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from his heart and has no slander on his tongue, who does his neighbor no wrong and casts no slur on his fellow man, who despises a vile man but honors those who fear the Lord, who keeps his oath even when it hurts, who lends his money without usury, and does not accept a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things will never be shaken. In a shaky world, integrity is a rock. It's a stable platform to live from. And it creates stability to those around you. A person of integrity is like a big tree that offers shade to those around them with deep roots. Integrity is God's values lived out in our actions. So what are some of the benefits? Well, one, you can walk closely with God. It's not that you earn the right to be close to God, but it's that you feel closer to God and you feel his pleasure when you live out his values. Choosing not to lie, not to slander. I mean, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Choosing to keep your eyes on the Lord, to read his scriptures and live them out in your actions. All these things, they align you with God. Micah 6:8, probably one of the most quoted verses out of the minor prophets is this: He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. A person of integrity is aware of who God is aware God's eyes are on them, and walks each moment in their life aware of what it's like to live in the presence of a living God. You know, the teenager, they freak us out with saying this, say, everything you do, pretend like Jesus is in the room with you. When you're on a date with a girl, make sure that you know that Jesus is in the room with you. It's statements like that that ruined my dating life. But if you walk with integrity, yeah, what's it like to walk with God? Is it intimidating? Maybe a little bit. But it's freeing because you know you're never alone. Another benefit of integrity is you have a built-in guide. Who then are those who fear the Lord? He will instruct them in the ways they should choose. You know, as we read the scriptures, it's interesting because some of the favorite scriptures today are the ones that make us feel better. You know, those ones that God's with you and he will never abandon you and all those kind of things. And that's really great. You know, it's good. They're there for a reason. Those scriptures lift us. But there are a lot of scriptures that are designed to make you strong and to help you be virtuous and help you be firm and help you be courageous and to help you do what's right. Those verses are pretty important too. You know, it's one thing to be lifted by knowing God is aware and he loves us and cares for us. It's another thing to be equipped by the Lord so that when the storm comes, we can face it head on. We have that built-in guide. We know what to do. We know how to react. You see, integrity simplifies it a lot for us. It really does. It may complicate our lives as far as, you know, how we work and things like that, but it simplifies what we're here to do. It makes walking with God and going about our lives with a couple very key things in mind. Once, God loves us and that he cares about what we do and he loves other people and he wants to love them through us. And one of the best ways you can express love to other people is by walking in the right way and to having integrity. You know, I know as being a parent, sometimes your kids will make out like they hate you because you have integrity, but in the long term, they'll be happy. You know, they may call you, you know, stubborn and, you know, and you don't love them or you don't trust them or anything like that. You hear all those kind of accusations, but in truth, they need you to be strong about some things. There needs to be things that are no for all times, all places, and all circumstances, in all situations. And that actually is a comfort to other people. Next one, you have constant peace in your heart. 2 Corinthians 13:11. Finally, brothers and sisters, rejoice. Strive for full restoration. Encourage one another. Be of one mind. Live in peace. And the God of love of peace will be with you. Peace. Wouldn't it be nice if we had that in our hearts? Right? A stable walk with God gives us peace. A lot of people this week have asked me, they've said, it's kind of an interest, like we get interested when there's wars and all kinds of uncertainty in the world. Is this the end times? End times are really defined by Christianity, and a lot of prophecy out of the Bible is the end of the world when God comes and makes everything right, okay? And, it tends to be, we speculate a lot about those things when there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. And it's kind of a loaded question because it's like, do you think these are the end times? When the Bible tells us specifically, you can't know when the end times are going to happen. Okay? There's going to be some things that might be an indicator to it, but only God knows when the end times are going to happen. So it's kind of a loaded question. And I always tell people the same thing. Our response to the fact that the world's getting crazy brings about two responses that should be knee-jerk reactions with us. The first is, in the end, God's going to win. He's bigger than evil. He's bigger than death. He's bigger than all those things. And his promise is he will make it right someday. So that's the first thing. In the end, God wins. The second thing is, my job is to walk resolutely with the Lord in integrity and in his presence and in his salvation. You do those two things. And Jesus talks about being ready. He said, when I come back, be ready. Be watchful. Be connected to me. Be in Christ. Be living as though another world is coming. And you do those two things, that really lines up to integrity. You gain the trust, respect, and honor and influence. He whose walk is blameless and who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from his heart and has no slander in his tongue. He who does his neighbor no wrong and casts no slur in his fellow man. These are people of integrity. And it goes on to say, he who despises the vile man but honors those who fear the Lord, who keeps his oath even when it hurts, who lends his money without usury and does not accept a bribe against the innocent. He does these things and will never be shaken. Again, the analogy of a tree is a person who walks with the Lord. One of the things if you observe about Jesus and the interaction he has in the New Testament is this. He had people that really struggled with some pretty bad things that hung around him and really liked hanging around him. He had tax collectors who were basically social pariahs in their culture. He had lepers who were outcasts as well. He had, fishermen and blue-collar workers who the kind of religious elite didn't want to have much to do with and, kind of looked down on as dirty and, and unworthy. He had all these kinds of people. He had women who, struggled and were part of the prostitution, and they hung around him. There's one type of people he had very low tolerance for. Is what he called hypocrites. People who they gave across the image they wanted everybody to believe they had integrity, but inside they were dead. And they sucked the life out of those around them, and they were mean. You want to see the difference between a person who is too religious and a follower of Jesus Christ? Meanness comes to mind. People that really enjoy being better than other people and really enjoy looking down on them and really enjoy it when they're right and everybody else is wrong, that meanness that comes through, that's hypocrisy. Because hypocrisy ignores the fact that we are all broken, we all need God, we all stand before the cross on level ground. And if it wasn't for him, all of us are toast. So, when we remember integrity, remember this. If what you are doing and say you believe, and inside you're dead and lifeless and dry and mean, that isn't God. What God does is he softens up our heart. He makes us so we live so that we are quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. You know, people with integrity don't talk too much. I don't know, this is probably the best way to put it. And you're talking to someone who, you know, or listening to somebody who talks for a living, right? You know, I used to joke with my kids, you know what? They can chop my arms, my legs off. They can do just about anything. As long as my mouth is working, I got a job, right? Lovely analogy, them wheeling in me, you know, but it's a joke. But the truth of the matter is, for preachers too, we have to be careful what we say, you know, because sometimes people actually get around to listening to us and making decisions based on what we talk about. But this is true. You know, I strive to, don't always succeed at, trying to be this grace that God has given me and the values he has in me to live them out before the world. And sometimes I blow it, sometimes I do it. You know, I hope I'm doing more good than bad. But what I can't do is ever get to a place where I think I've landed it, I've made it, and, you know, thank the Lord I'm not like you, right? That's hypocrisy. That's horrible. That's what you want to avoid. Integrity doesn't lead to that. If you are a very proud religious person, I want to let you know you are in dangerous territory. And it seemed like the people that got Jesus really worked up and he had the hardest time with were those who claimed to be righteous, but were actually horrible, mean, cruel people inside. They were dead inside. John had picked a couple songs today, and he talked about bones coming to life and bones singing. And you might think, that's a weird line in a song, eh? I was thinking that. I was thinking, yeah, like, if you've never heard that before, you're like, why are bones singing? You know, why are bones coming to life? But it's actually, it's derived from the Bible in the Old Testament about a vision one of the prophets had, a man named Ezekiel. And God showed him a valley. It was all dusty and there were bones there. And God was saying, do you believe I can bring these bones to life? And Ezekiel said, well, Lord, you can do whatever you want to do. And these dead bones started, and this sounds gross, but it's actually probably a prettier picture. But they all of a sudden flesh came on them and they came to life and they became people, living, laughing, alive, strong people. And that's what God does to us. The bones, you know. The Pharisees were people that God compared their hearts to like graves, death. With follower of Jesus Christ, it's different. God makes us alive so that we live out a different analogy in this world. You know, there's a lot of talking in the world right now. And I kind of thought of this as a fun analogy, but also very seriously, there's a lot of people that believe that the number one problem in our world right now is white supremacy. I don't know if you ever heard that, but apparently white supremacy is a real problem right now. In fact, we just had a real illustration of white supremacy in our society. Apparently in Canada, there are millions of white supremacists. They're everywhere. They're hiding in the furniture, they're driving around, and a whole bunch of them just drove to Ottawa. All these white supremacists. In fact, there was all these white supremacists on bridges waving flags to cheer on the white supremacists who were going to Ottawa. And then they were driving around Ottawa and they were honking their white supremacist horns and waving their white supremacist flags and setting up their white supremacist bouncy castles and having their white supremacy jacuzzis. And there was an explosion of white supremacy. And I was really surprised at this because my father was a trucker. And in the hundreds of conversations we had, I never ever knew he was a Nazi. You think he would have admitted that to me? Dad, are you a white supremacist? But anyways, there's all this name calling going on, and these are these people, and these are these people, and apparently there's all kinds of white supremacists going on. And, I realize racism is real, but I thought, man, there's an awful lot more white supremacists than I thought there was in Canada. Until I heard this story this week. And this lifted my heart. Apparently, the CBC, the Canadian Broadcaster, that jewel of Canada, those truth tellers and virtuous people who are very good at pointing out who are white supremacists and who aren't. Apparently, they heard there was a white supremacist camp in Arden Prior, a whole group of white supremacists. And I don't know what they were doing, dancing around a fire or whatever they were doing there. And so the CBC sent out this van to go visit the white supremacists and see what these horrible people were doing. But they got there and the van slid off the road into a ditch. And they were in trouble. They were out in the middle of nowhere and all that, until out of the white supremacy crowd came this individual driving a truck. And he drove up and he extended to the person a line, and they pulled that van out of the ditch. And he was wearing a defund the CBC hat while he was doing it. And he knew that who these people were. You know, it was amazing. I mean, in Ottawa, we saw Sikh white supremacists, we saw Romanian white supremacists, we saw Persian white supremacists, and you'll never believe this, but we actually saw Jamaican white supremacists. Can you believe that? They're really branching out. And what kind of white supremacist is willing to aid that jewel of Canada, the CBC, by pulling them out of the ditch? And so the CBC reporter was so blown away by these people that she's been telling everybody they need to hate, that she said, "Why would you do this?" And the trucker responded, "I would never leave anybody in a ditch." And you know what's really cool? She reported it. She actually told people about it. And this guy, what he said was really meaningful. It doesn't matter who you are. You're in a ditch. I'm going to pull you out. And you know what I felt when I saw that? I thought, Canada's back. People on this side and this side were getting together. They were helping each other. They were willing to talk about each other. That was the greatest act of courage I've seen in this country in a long time. That both people from this side and people from that side got together and they showed what we're about. You know? You see, the oddity of integrity is not that anybody does it, or it isn't that it's being done, it's that so few people did it. Tony Campolo told this about Mother Teresa. He said Mother Teresa was not odd because of what she did. She was helping sick people in Bombay and, or Calcutta, and taking these sick people off the streets and caring for them and all that. No, Tony Campolo said the oddity of Mother Teresa is she was the only one doing it. And among all the name calling and articles and, all this and all that going on in Canada, it warmed my heart that people from opposite ends of these shouting matches, someone went in a ditch, and when the rubber met the road, so to speak, they did the right thing. That's integrity. You know why that story is so unusual? It's not because it wasn't right. It's because so few people do it. God has given you a challenge to live out His values in your life. And when you do that, the world shakes. And it doesn't matter who's blowing up who in Ukraine. It doesn't matter how much your groceries cost or how much your gas costs. It doesn't matter whether you're sick or well. When we live for God in integrity, we can stand against the storm. And that's all I got to say about that.